Hi, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Breakthrough with your host, Tess Timmons. Looks like I've broken something. Well, not really. This episode is going to explain why my arm is in a sling, and about the healing path in recovery, and how it's recovering more than my physical being. So welcome to another episode. I appreciate that you are here, and yeah, let's get started. So obviously my arm is in a sling. I just had surgery about 10 days ago. So about 5 years ago, my shoulder started bothering me. I was taking a lot of weightlifting classes at Tahoe Mountain Fitness. Shout out. Love you guys. And in those weight classes, I was noticing when we were lifting weights up in more of a T-shaped motion, when we would come back down and lift up and then out, and I was hearing some popping. And so I was thinking it was a rotator cuff issue. So I kind of, just was aware of it, did some stretches, talked to my gym, and that seemed to be okay. Then like a couple years later, I went to a chiropractor, and my arm was starting to hurt me more. It was I was up to almost 20 pounds lifting with weights, but I was starting to feel some popping, or when I was doing some like lateral movements, I could feel that it was really difficult. I couldn't lift 20 pounds, then I couldn't lift 15, then 12, then 10, then 5, and oh my. So I went and got some chiropractic work done. Within that chiropractic work, I ended up getting an MRI. Funny thing about that was, with the healthcare providers I was with at the time, they were telling me that I had to go get physical therapy, and then go see this doctor and that doctor and that doctor and that doctor. And by the time I saw all of those doctors, then they would allow me to get an MRI. When I looked at that finding, I had already been working with top people. I was living in North Tahoe, where a lot of top athletes live. So I was working with my gym, who they work with top athletes. The chiropractor that I was working with worked with top athletes, and so I was already doing some physical therapy on my arm. By the time I shelled out all the money my health insurance company wanted me to shell out, I would have been paying more than me paying out of pocket for an MRI. So I paid out of pocket for an MRI. It cost around, I think, a little under $500 to get it done. When I was in getting the MRI done, I was asking them, hey, since you're scanning my shoulder, can you scan my whole body? And they said no, that they can't do that. But then a year after that, I did learn that it had been in news coverage. A lot of famous people are starting to do it, but they're getting their whole body scanned for preventative care. I am so for preventative care. Like, at the start of COVID, instead of, storming the Capitol, we could have been saying to the health insurance companies, hey, we are talking about healthcare. Preventative, all preventative health should be covered. Going to your gym, going to get a massage, going and getting your body scanned so you understand what's going on. I get laser facials done at Pacific Coast Aesthetics. Shout out. I'll be talking with them on an episode as well. That is also preventative care. So when we're doing these things, we could be looking at, from now on, how do we make that change? How do we push our health insurance companies? How do we talk to our mayors, senators, Congress, and say that this is what we want? We, the people, not the corporations, listening to us, right? So I went and spent my own dime on my MRI, and then I ended up moving and switching insurance because I switched jobs, etc., etc. So I had to get a new primary care doctor, and then all the other doctors, and then I could get my referrals going. So it ended up taking a year to get all of that processed. Once I finally did, I was able to see Dr. Ravelin, who took beautiful care of me. So I went into Dr. Ravelin. He read my MRI. And this was kind of like some reporting that we found at the beginning. Findings are consistent with labral pathology, left shoulder. Pertinent positive findings show some slight decreased internal rotation. She has pain with O'Brien's test. She has pain with both apprehension test and positive relocation test. At today's visit, she has less bicep involvement with the speed test not being positive. Her rotator cuff is 5 out of 5 strength throughout. There's some mild impingement with Neer and Hawkins test. Her range of motion is still well preserved. Elevation 175 degrees. External rotation is 60 degrees with the arm at her side, 100 degrees with the arm abducted. Her internal rotation is 50. MRI scan of her left shoulder with Advantage Imaging in Roseville, California. Woo woo! Thank you, Roseville. Looked at the bicep cerebral labral complex tear. There is also a small cyst in the humeral head. Her rotator cuff is intact. There's no evidence of Bankart or Hill sac lesions. She has no significant spurs. There's no loose body. Okay, that's like technical terms. What does that mean to like us, right? So my rotator cuff was fine, but what we noticed was there was a small tear in my bicep. And, it's been a while since I took human anatomy in high school. So they explained to me again that our bicep muscle routes in the front in our shoulder blade. And at one point, I must have fallen. And thinking back, I'm pretty sure it was a ski accident that I had. I hadn't been skiing in years. I got back on skis on kind of some rough snow, and I fell face forward. The reason I'm thinking it was that is because Dr. Evelyn asked me, have you ever had seizures? Because like the chip of bone out of your shoulder is that of a front fall. And I was like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about, which is frightening when I think about body consciousness, right? But as I started thinking about it more, I'm pretty sure it was when I fell on a ski accident. Because there's a chip of bone out of my shoulder, that bicep muscle doesn't have what it fully needs to hold on to. So it was starting to slip off and I had a tear in it. So that's what was making everything so difficult for me to move. Granted, I was still moving. Like over the summer, I was in Costa Rica. I climbed 10 waterfalls in 4 hours. I went rafting. I did yoga. So I did have movement, but as far as the movement I was accustomed to, I didn't have it anymore. I had gone from 20-pound weights to 10-pound weights, 5-pound weights. I wasn't able to do a plank. I wasn't able to do a burpee. And why is that important? You're getting old, lady. Move on. No, I'm not old. I'm 45, but I'm not old. Like, don't count me out, right? I have a lot of life to live. So once we looked at all of those findings, we went forth with the fact that he was going to open up my shoulder and operate. I was choosing an operation. I had already spent 5 years trying to work it out on my own, so I felt very confident that like an operation was a good way to go. When we look at operations, my Nana passed away at 96 last year. When she was 87, she fell and hurt her hip. I remember because I was thinking about heading toward 40, wondering if I was over the hill, if I was at the halfway mark. And I was thinking, my Nana's so vital. She walks to church, she takes water aerobics, she's doing great. I'm going to be around forever. And at 87, she fell and hurt her hip. She did live to be 96, but when she hurt her hip and went to the hospital and they were going to replace it, I remember the doctors outright telling us, and I'm glad they outright told us, they said, because of her age, we weren't really going to repair it. What? Because of her age, we weren't really going to repair it. We weren't going to care. We weren't going to put in the effort. And but the doctor then said, but because of all of you, her 8 children, other people that were considered family, all of her grandchildren, we were all visiting and going to see her and asking about her. And they said, because so many of you are here with her and showing the vitality of her life, we will actually put a cement, hip replacement in and make her fully functional. It was the first time in my life I realized that doctors are able to make a decision about you without you. It frightened me. Also, that should we not do an operation on someone because that's the operation we should do? When and at what point did they make the call that, well, you're headed on this old path, so, we might not do that much for you? That's very interesting to me as far as ethics and medicine. So when I went in to talk to Dr. Ravlin, I was very clear that I climbed waterfalls, rafted, did yoga, that I am wanting to take dance lessons, that I want to learn how to surf, that I am, traveling all the time. I'm a teacher, I carry stuff, but also I really enjoy weightlifting, and who knows, maybe I'll do a competitive weightlifting challenge. You never know. I'm not counting myself out of anything. At 45 in 2024, I'm not sitting on the couch eating bonbons, watching TV. Currently I'm sitting on the couch. No bonbons, okay? Nick's ice cream? Yes. If you haven't tried that yet, oh my gosh. Not sponsored, wish I was. Nick, send it on over. But at 45, don't count me out, right? Do not count me out. And also, fix my arm because that's what you should do, right? So Ravlin is awesome, and we had a beautiful discussion about that. He also, when he went in to fix my arm, he has an incision here, one in the middle, and one to the side. Usually they do an incision up through the armpit, but I had talked to him as well about the fact that I'm working with a talent management company, Avanti, and I will be going down to LA. I'm learning about commercials and modeling and TV and film, and so I was talking to him about the fact that I don't want a huge scar, but also for recovery time, a big gash in my armpit would take quite a bit of healing. And so it was really beautiful that the day of my surgery, Dr. Ravlin came in and said, hey, I was thinking about everything, and I woke up this morning thinking about your surgery. I'm going to make incisions over on these different areas, not where we typically do. So he put a lot of care, and he understood through our conversations and my self-advocacy of what I was really looking for and where my life is headed and why it's necessary for my active livelihood. Right? It's very imperative that we are all active. I'm talking until my 90s, I don't want to spend my life in a doctor's office. I don't want to be doing that. This is preventative so that I can keep moving forward. The night before my surgery at 7:30 at night, I was doing conferences with students. By 8 o'clock, I was finally leaving school because I created sub-plans, stopped at the gas station, and by 9 p.m. picked up my mom from the airport. So at 45, I called my mom, asked her to come and stay with me, and that woman is an angel. I'll try not to cry, but it was really beautiful having someone come and care for me. I had underestimated the amount of help that I would need. Originally I thought within 3 days I would be driving, moving, back to work, and that is not the case. So yeah, shout out to moms. Shout out to moms for helping us. So I'll clear my mind of that for a minute and get back to that in a second. But there's all sorts of stuff written here that is about my rotator cuff, my bicep tentometer, tendonitis, all sorts of things that I was given information on when I left surgery. But anyway, I guess the point before I got teary-eyed was that at 9 o'clock at night, I picked up my mom from the airport. We came to my house, and surgery was at 9 o'clock a.m. the next day. I have been working a lot, and I was not fully prepared. I had barely any food left in my kitchen. she was an angel and helped me. I didn't even know what shirt to wear. I'm rocking a lot of tank tops. Shout out Rolling Stones. It's so much easier, but I didn't even think about that. Like, what should I wear to surgery? They did prep me and gave me information. I was just so busy working at my job, I wasn't fully thinking about it. So I do want to show you some, I don't know if it'll show on here, but we'll see. So I went in for surgery, and the surgery team was beautiful. They were so kind and chatted with me and got all of my nerves to go away. I ended up with general anesthesia and also an interscalene block. The interscalene block was very interesting. I had to turn my head, and they were preparing me. I said, oh, I feel like I'm getting prepared for a vampire bite. And they were like, I don't think vampires try to prepare you. So they turned my head and they put in a large needle here, and it blocked out all feeling in this part of my body for 48 hours, I believe. It was a long time before I could move my fingers, but I was in no pain. I was actually, well, I'll get to that in a second, but so they did that, and then I also had anesthesia routed through my wrist and everything too. I was laying in this bed. I haven't been in the hospital, knock on wood, in a long time, but I was laying in this bed, and the sheet had a hose attached to it, and it was pumping warm air through. And I was laying on a pillow, and I was like, this kind of feels like a spa. It was very bougie for me. It felt very good. So they did a great job of setting me up post-surgery. I had to show that I had someone who was going to drive me and take care of me, and so my mom was with me, which was great. I wrote sub-plans. All my students wished me well. Thank you, students, for being so patient with me coming back. I really appreciate it. We've been chatting back and forth. They email me. I talk to them through Google Classroom. They've had a slew of subs, and I really appreciate them so that I can support my health in the long run. I don't know if these are going to show up on screen or not. It might be too hard to see. But this is my bicep. I'm going to try to show you a couple more, whether they show up for you or not. The bigger thing is that I really appreciate being able to see all of this. When they were wheeling me in for surgery, I said to them, are you recording it? Can I have the copy? Like, as I leave the hospital, I want to be able to see what was going on. Now, there's two reasons for that. One is that when I was younger, I used to watch on PBS. They had like surgeries, like knee surgeries and all that kind of stuff. I loved watching them. When I was in 5th grade, there was we were dissecting hearts of animals. I get that now that doesn't happen in some schools. It did back then in the 90s. And they asked, like, oh, we have an extra cow's lung. Would anyone want to dissect it alone? And my hand shut up so fast. I guess because I'm a kinesthetic learner. It's not that I really wanted to go to pre-med school. But anyway, I wanted all of these copies of seeing what the doctor saw so that I could be really in tune with my body. So the day I came home from surgery, I was on oxycodone for 2 days. I purposely got off of that as soon as possible for me personally. I don't want to be on it. And I also was taking celecoxib once a day, which is an anti-inflammatory. And then I kind of switched to some Tylenol, which also I tried to weed myself off of pretty fast. Because I had that blocker in, the first day of my surgery, I was awake. When I got out of the anesthesia, I remember I had been working till 8 o'clock the night before. I was pulling all these long hours, writing subplans, conferences with beautiful parents. And so when I woke up, I was like, I had the most gorgeous sleep. I I was telling my friends who are mothers, you should go in and get some anesthesia and knock yourself out and get a good night rest. It was amazing. So I woke up and I was quite alert. So the first 2 days I actually went for walks around my neighborhood. I was moving a lot, which is great for my circulatory system. I don't believe in just laying around, but I also don't want to push it, right? So my mom and I went for a walk around the neighborhood, and there are some new homes being built, and some of them didn't have doorknobs on them. So, I mean, that's not breaking and entering. The door's open, right? So we went and walked around some homes and had a beautiful time. But after that, the third day, the blocker was starting to wear off. I was very tired, and movement was a bit hard. And then I also got a little bit depressed because I was feeling it, right? I would say the pain that I felt was mostly, I'm not afraid of feeling the pain, I guess is really important for me to say. I want to be like in tune with my body. It's really important to me that I'm able to feel everything and know what's going on with my body. So to the point of like, even as a woman with my menstrual cycle, I can feel when my egg drops. I can feel it going down the fallopian tube. I know that might sound weird, but I'm very in tune with my body. So in a surgery, I wanted to stay in tune as well. When I know and I can see pictures of what has been happening to my body, when I wake in the morning, if there is a little bit of sharp pain or some throbbing, I was talking to myself. I would take a Tylenol, but the pain wasn't bad. It really was notifying me of what was going on. It wasn't sharp. It wasn't overwhelming. It was, hey, right now I'm healing. I'm stretching. I'm moving. I'm sore, and so I was able to every morning really like be mindful and think my body. I listened to the Chantress on Instagram. She's got gorgeous music, and I was listening to high frequency sound waves that are played with her music, because high frequency sound waves are healing. I'll try to find a little bit of her music right now so that you can hear it. And then I also went on Insight Timer, and I was logging into Darius, who is beautiful on the Insight Timer. He does these Good Morning Artist meditations, and so that was really setting my mind at ease. I want you to hear this. This is the Chantress. I don't know the music rules on YouTube, so I'll cut it off there, but Chantress, CHANTRESSESSEBA on Instagram. And then also Darius on Insight Timer, but he is also on Instagram, so it's Darius Bashar, and I was listening to his Good Morning Artist. His voice alone is healing. It's a breath of fresh air. Let me see if you can hear it a little bit.
Happens to creating content consistently is this belief that there is a last breath.
Just his voice alone sets me at ease. But so I tried to surround myself with a lot of positivity, right? I did struggle. It was very hard to learn how to change my clothes all on my own, showering on my own. I was nervous about moving my arm. I wasn't allowed to move it for a while because everything was setting in place. So I had to really talk myself through that. A couple times I was snappy, I'm sure. My mother was so calm and kind to me. But I really tried not to hurt people hurt. I tried not to lash out. I tried to stay calm. I think the biggest thing for me was when I was first learning to change my clothes and take this off, I was so nervous about, my arm wasn't allowed to drop, and I was so nervous about screwing it up. I didn't want to, after all his hard work, tear anything, break anything. And so I actually almost felt faint. And my mom did a beautiful job of talking to me about, like, this has more to do with your mind than your body, Tess, and like you just need to breathe and have confidence you're going to be okay. So that was very helpful as well. So what did he end up doing to my arm? He ended up cutting my bicep from one tendon and sewing it onto a different tendon. He took the camera and went in on all sides of my shoulder and took those different pictures, but was looking at all of the different variables. And instead of having to drill into the bone or anything, like, yeah, it's tendon to tendon. So I will have to wear this until October 31st. Today is October 16th. She's halfway there. So yeah, I'm trying to stay patient with that. But I just wanted to mention a couple other things as far as healing and recovery. I was walking really slow, and it made me realize, not my age, because I walk very fast, but I've never walked that slow before. And it just made me, it gave me a sense of what it will be like when I'm 90 years old and how hard that could be. Also really made me think about, like, people who live alone, who don't have someone who can take care of them, and also that if we are not humble enough to ask for help, like, I'm so glad that I asked my mom for support, and she was able to fly here, and she has a physical body that is able to come here and help me at 73 years old. But it made me think of other people and how many people might be suffering alone that don't have support. And so that I really want to, like, wish those people well and, like, give them love from my heart. Yeah, that's like a big one. That was a big one to think about. And I also felt a slew of gratitude. I have coworkers that brought me dinner. I have coworkers that were texting me and checking in with me. Some of them are offering to drive me to work next week because I'm still learning how to operate. I have a friend who sent me a book in the mail. I have a friend who sent me medicine in the mail. Serena, thank you. And so, yeah, I really appreciate how many people text me, sent me well wishes on Instagram. That love is also healing, right? And simultaneously, my godparents, Joyce's husband was not doing well in the hospital. My godfather Robert, his son Sean, I'm sending prayers to, was, having a hard time in the hospital. So it made me also remember that I'm not alone and that I don't have it that bad, and I elected to get this done to myself. It also really made me center in on the fact that the reason I'm doing all of this is because I want to live a healthy life. And I'm perimenopausal, I'm 45 years old. I had really good bone density. I had low body fat percentage, but in the past 2 years, I have not. My body fat percentage has gone up. My bone density is weaker because I can't lift as much. And I know, because of some of my family and friends that are older, what can happen when you don't have strong bone density, and back surgeries and stuff like that. My stepfather just had back surgery, and so I'm seeing what I need to do for preventative care, right? And so I want to live a long, strong, healthy life, and that's what I'm really talking to you about today. Is that I want all of us to live a long, strong, healthy life. My mom helped me cook a ton of meals. I've never had so much food in my freezer. We made kimchi soup. We made veggie omelets. all sorts of delicious real food so that I can heal. I also used symbiotic probiotics, their B12 supplements. This is not sponsored at all. I'm just saying there is such beautiful support out there for us. We can be very conscious about the food that we eat and choose. We can be very conscious about going to the gym, right? Also, shout out to Ray, who works on my property. He is so kind and has also asked me how I'm doing, and it was beautiful to introduce you to my mom. So thank you for all your love and support. And that's what it's really about, right? Is like supporting each other, supporting our health, and supporting ourselves to live this life in optimum prime, in optimum health, right? Like, I want to be able to see all the beauty that there is in this world. I've got a lot more life to live. My Nana was 96. My grandfather on my mother's side was in his 90s. I know I'm going to be around a while. So if I'm going to be around, I want to make sure that I'm active, having a kick-ass time, moving, dancing, celebrating, and exploring all this world has to offer. And that I wish for you as well. So have a beautiful day. Oh, you know what else I did? I watched stand-up comedy. And I laughed a lot. My mom and I laughed so much. And even though it hurt to shake my shoulder when we were laughing, I know that was also helping me. I watched the new Ellen DeGeneres stand-up. I watched Ali... I can't think of her last name. I watched her stand-up as well. So yeah, laughter as well. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening. I know it's been about a half hour of your time. But yeah, I just am reminding you to eat well, nourish your body, laugh, get outside, get some fresh air, take care of your health, call your mom, tell her you love her, and take care of yourselves. Okay, until next time, you guys, another breakthrough episode. Like, subscribe, share. I'll see you later. Much love to you and yours. Bye.